Hello and welcome everyone again into another video. Today's video we will talk about the Fossil Cup, and it's the cup that is paired with the Open Ultra League. Fossil Cup is a great league format, and in this cup you are only allowed to use 3 different types. You can use water, rock, steel. Now, something to talk about in this cup, like this cup is kind of suspicious because, like, look at this. Rock takes super effective from water, super effective also from steel, which makes it the worst type among those two. Water, they do super effective here, resists this. This thing is resisted by this, takes super effective by rock, which makes water the superior typing in this entire cup. But that doesn't mean other Pokemons are bad, because we will talk about some good Pokemons that can have kind of a sneaky play because of their typing, the second typing, the fast move, and the charge move, or like the way you're supposed to play them. And that's why you're watching this video, so you can get aware, so you can be aware of this cup and the sneaky parts about it. So in this, I usually like divide Pokemons into 3 different categories: lead, safe swap, generalist. But in this cup, 3 different categories: water, rock, steel. And as you can see, these Pokemons are all the water type, all the rock, all the steel type Pokemons. So if we're talking about water type, as I said and I explained just a couple seconds ago, water is the best type in this cup because it does resist the steel, and it takes does super effective to rock. So what is the best water type Pokemon? It's basically Gastrodon, and that's because it's Gastrodon. Like, there is no other explanation. Like, it's self-explanatory, right? Gastrodon has been very meta in all the leagues, whether it's a great or ultra format. There is always Gastrodon there. It's just because Mud Slap is so strong and Body Slam is kind of bad, but it's just like the stats and the combination of both the Mud Slap and the typing makes Gastrodon the best. Now, some people prefer Quag over Gastro because it's more flexible and you can hit the flyers, where like Gastro gets destroyed by all the flyers. But some other people kind of prefer Poliwrath because it's tanky and dish out lots of fast move pressure, but it's kind of slow with throwing charge moves. So with Caches there, Jellicent is actually good. It's not as bad as it used to be like last season because of the buff to Hex. Some other options you could use, Azu exists, but it's kind of very underwhelming, to be honest, in this cup, because like the steel types just beat as well. Like, steel types lose to those 3. Gyarados is an option, but that doesn't mean it's good, you know. And this Pokemon here, which I don't want to talk about, is kind of also a good core breaker, but it's not the best. Usually like through tactical go live in this cup, just so he can play some Ludicolo action, where like because Ludicolo like has Leaf Storm, which one shot all those Pokemons here and all those Pokemons here. That's how insanely hard Leaf Storm does. Now for the rock type, the only good ones are actually the Cradily and the Lilip. That's because they have Acid, I think, and Rock Tomb. It's just because one of the best combinations in the game. Now, as far as Lycanroc has Counter Crunch. It used to be good spammy, but now it's kind of bad. Lycanroc is actually good just because it's just Lycanroc used to be good because of the combination between Counter and Crunch in the past. Now it's bad because of the combination between Counter and Crunch. It's just not as fun to use anymore. Like, Counter is just doesn't generate energy. They nerfed it, I think, by 2, which was like kind of like an insane nerf. Now the steel types, Registeel is the king, but it's kind of slow in the current season. Now, something to mention about Lucario. Lucario is viable with Counter or Bullet Punch. You kind of prefer Bullet Punch in some cases here, but overall Counter should be the case, because if you want to run Bullet Punch, just run Scizor. It's better because it has a cheaper move like Night Slash, and it has a boosting move like Trailblaze, which does double super effective in some cases right here. So that's the thing about it. Now there is Kartana, which is actually fun to use. Last time we had Fossil Cup, I climbed with Kartana to like, I think, top 90 on the leaderboard, because everyone was safe swapping Quag, and it was just going to Kartana and just like razor leafing them all the way down So as like this is like as far as the Pokemons. Now let's talk about some spicy Pokemons. Well, Scizor used to be spicy. Now let's move it to the top meta Pokemons here because it's actually a king in this cup. Bastiodon is a very spicy Pokemon you could use in this cup. Gastrodon is a very meta Pokemon. Excadrill is kind of like hit or miss. Muchstop is just a bad Gastrodon. Now, what are some good teams you people like? I do recommend for the GBL heroes to use. Well, let's talk about the top 3 PvPoke. Top 3 PvPoke team here actually it's a solid team on paper, but if you can take a close look into that, they kind of struggle into something like Scizor as an example, because there is no Pokemon that can deal with Scizor, so that's why you can't rely on PvPoke in some special cups, especially if the cup is very limited like this one. Like in this one, what's your Scizor counter? You just go to Jellicent and then you just pray that they don't get a boost, because if they boost, your game is just GG. As an example, what if they have Registeel in the back, stuff like this? What if they have what? I don't know. What if they lead this guy, Ludicolo? So you can't rely on PvPoke for this cup. I remember all the people who used PvPoke teams last time we had Fossil Cup ended up in a difficult situation, and they had to come up with their own teams, and then Lantern became the Pokemon that people were using. And I remember like back then, last year, Lantern was nerfed right away. Right before this cup, so people were like forced to use a bad Lantern, because Lantern was like the only Pokemon that could deal with so many Pokemons. And I think that was during like Polyrath's community day or something. No, that was the one before. So what do I recommend? I actually recommend a team like this one, like those two. Like you either have to play ABB or ABA. So as an example, if you play Scizor, you have to protect it with Gastrodon, Jellicent Core. Now, the thing about Scizor, you run Fury Cutter in this cup. You don't run Bullet Punch. Why you don't run Bullet Punch? Because there is so many Water-type Pokemons. All these Waters resist the Steel damage, so that's why you have to rely on something like Fury Cutter as an example, which make you like much spammier and do neutral damage instead of just doing resisted damage. Always, because let's be honest, no one's gonna run any rock type Pokemon. So yeah, that's like tip number 1, which is the most important one as well. You run Fury Cutter, Trailblaze, Night Slash. So if you debate whether you should go for the boost, you can always boost by just going for the Trailblaze, and Trailblaze is 45 energy move, so it's not that big of an expensive charge move, right? Another team that I do recommend actually is Double Counter. Sorry, it's not Counter Lucario, by the way, it's Force Palm. Force Palm is kind of a 3-turn version of the old Counter. So that's why you run Force Palm. You don't run Bullet Punch, you don't run Counter. If you run Bullet Punch, you run Scizor. If you run Counter, you just run Polyrath. Keep that in mind. Polyrath runs Counter because the other move is just Stupid Bubble, right? So that's like something to keep in mind. You could run Bubble Polyrath if you want to run a bad Azu, you know, like if you run Bubble, you just go with Azu, it's much better. And the main thing about Polyrath, it's so good because it beats something like Firathon, and it can play all the neutral matchups, just a straight Icy Wind, straight Power Up Punch, anything like that. So yeah, so that's like the main trick about Polyrath, is that you don't run this moveset here. You have to run Power Up Punch. I remember this clearly from the last time we had Fossil Cup, because you will see lots of random Pokemons. And speaking of random Pokemons, the best random Pokemon you could think of is actually Berserker. And Berserker got a Metal Sound buff. Now the thing is, Berserker also has Shadow Claw. Shadow Claw is non-stab, but Shadow Claw is literally a Metal Sound that does 1 more damage. So it's up to you whether you want to run Metal Sound or Shadow Claw. I still think that Shadow Claw is the superior move, because nothing technically resists Shadow Claw on this entire cup. Now, I wasn't aware what second move you should be running on this. I think you just run Close Combat. You could get away with Foul Play, by the way. But the thing is, whenever you need Foul Play, Trailblaze can just do the job. It's also 45 energy. Wait, Foul Play is 40 energy move. So yes, you run Foul Play here, by the way. Pelipper was actually a good Pokemon to use. There is also Mantine, which is kind of a bulkier version of Pelipper. It is kind of a team that was very popular back then, with the first time that this cup was available. And the next team is, there's actually no next team. This is pretty much all you need to know about Fossil Cup. It's a very limited cup, so that you can't get creative with such a thing. And you have to be creative with your play style, because that is going to be the key. And I do believe I gave you all the tips that you need to be aware of in this Fossil Cup. So yeah, thanks so much everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoying the rest of your day. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, night, or whatever you're having. Don't forget to like the video if you like the content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.